So with all these diverse trends, new forces, competition, you've been a bank that has consistently innovated. Is there some mantra for innovation? We have, for instance, recently appointed in our group a chief technology officer who's in fact here. How do you create a focus on technology, adaptability, innovation in your organization?
I would think it is not a one way or one dimensional thing. It's a multi-dimensional thing, a multi-directional thing. Yeah, multi-directional thing. So it needs, the ideal state is for technology to pervade through all, everyone in the organization, but that's also probably a word for anarchy. So you cannot have that. So you need to have technology flowing in from several points, but in a manageable whole. Uh, there has to be somebody with the ability to see the dots, and if that function is not being done by anyone, I would think the CTO's office is ideally placed to do that, because you can then look at trends and your views of where the trends are heading, and push it down the organization to see what connection is made or connect is made by the various elements in the organization to drive this whole thing. But it will fail if very quickly the ball is not caught or owned by the individual business and then pushed along. So it's a collective game. So in the case of ICICI Bank, if you say predominantly how is technology run, we moved to a system where by 2000, we dismantled the CIO's office. And instead we had a 6-person team of young people running technology. And each business ran technology itself. All technology decision making was done by the 6 people who were about average age 27. And any critical decision they needed came to me. And all decision making was across the table. So there was no pipeline or things like that. So most of our large investment decisions took place during this period. I think by 2004, I either became too busy or too lazy. And I said, we will bring in a CTO. It was not a good decision, frankly, for us. Because it went rigid, rather than doing what I had anticipated, which is what I described as the first thing. You be the evangelist, you look at the stars, you look at the dots, connect them, then get the organization to push. So here it became rigid, and we had no elbow room at all. Now we have reverted back to the old, where businesses run technology. But Chanda still doesn't have a team of 6 reporting to her, but she has made the business heads take that decision. And of course, there is a centralized place where you make sure there is no anarchy in terms of buying hardware, software, and you end up not talking to each other and so on. So there is a point where that, I would say, is managed. But it is back to distributed technology and distributed running. I don't think that in today's world where you are moving this rapidly to an app-driven world, you can do anything else. It has to be, but equally, you need somebody who can see the dots and the stars and connect them.
You mentioned payment banks as a new element of competition. The whole space of mobile banking, which of course the banks already do, but how much new competition do you see that generating?
It's completely going to be disrupted. That's where I was saying the whole app world. You can't work to old timelines. You need to be innovative virtually on a daily basis and have small increments which keep you current out there throughout. So it's almost like continuous releases to what you see. And there are players who have done this brilliantly. If I look at the airline companies and their mobile versions, they're beautiful things. And each airline has got a different thing, but all of them I admire. So you may need to look at for ideas outside your domain. Of course, there are banks also which do they have great sites. So it's going to be a very competitive place. And then you got these new companies, which I'm sure will do things completely differently. So that's where we need to compete. We need to understand what's happening in the space outside us and what's happening in the space where, shoulder space to us, which is the payment bank would be a shoulder space to us. What are they doing there? And of course, outside us, to me, the worry is, will there be an Alibaba equivalent that comes in And am I reduced to saying that the only protection I have is my license? Because the regulator has decided to insulate me, I survive. That should not be. I should be able to compete and survive on my own through what I do, rather than rely on regulator to give me that shelter.
Last week, we actually had our annual group business excellence convention, and every year we have a theme. This year, the theme was long-term value creation. And while a lot of the challenges you've talked about are in the here and now and immediate short term, how do leaders create a culture in their organizations that ensures sustainability for the long term?
Yeah, very interesting questions, and very difficult in today's world, where the market has a focus on the immediate quarter. So the need to balance the here and now with the future becomes even more challenging. I would think manufacturing companies, by and large, have done this for a very long period of time. The focus is not necessarily here and now. Timelines are more, they're used to longer timelines because the gestation period itself, the implementation period, then the gestation period, then you create value. I think it is in all other businesses other than manufacturing where this becomes something critical. And my approach is that as long as you can do things cost efficiently, in a well thought out manner, and implement with rapidity and scale with rapidity, the market is willing to buy it. But if you are going to say that you are continuously going to be in terms of seeing returns in a gestation mode, then you are in trouble. Yesterday I was joking with somebody that the only person who, to my knowledge, has successfully sold a loss-making story and to date is still there is Jeff Bezos and Amazon. There's nobody else who has sustained losses and made it into it. I think that's changing. Even in the new .com world, I think the market is going to dictate differently. Though the PE firms still believe that there's a strategy in gaining share, and very quickly they're going to figure out it's a zero-sum game. So other day I asked my colleagues, what is Paytm? They have a solution for Uber, and you ought to have had a solution for Uber. Now, I don't know whether Uber is running today or not. This was a month back when the Reserve Bank said that they could not use a card without authentication and so on, and they wanted a wallet. You could have provided a wallet, and you could have thought through and found a solution for a wallet. And Paytm comes and offers them the wallet. Who's Paytm? Said, oh, Paytm, is in this discount business. I said, what discount business? They give you talk time at half the cost. I said, what? They have found some Alibaba ka, Aladdin ka chirag or something like that. What's happening here? I said, no, they're using the shareholders' money. I said, okay, that explains. So use PE money to buy airtime at cost and sell it at half cost, or basically give double time for a unit of value to the customer is one way of doing it. But that's not going to survive. So I would think, so that type of competition we should not take as real competition. It is not. But we should learn from the other good things they do. Speed to market, nimbleness, agileness, those things a lot of us would have lost. So we need to make sure those are there. And eliminate waste, and make sure that you do things at the cheapest possible cost. You can sell your story.